In today's session, in the subject biological systems in mental process, the second topic is the neural aspect of muscle movement. So, in this session, we'll see about how neurons is getting influenced in the movement and what is the type of neurons and few concepts related to neurons and types of neurons involved in the movement and reflex arc and the process, what is happening inside the neuron. These are all the things we are going to see in this session. So, what is now the neuron and the role of neuron? Neuron is a transmitter where the electrical signals getting transmitted to the brain and muscles through neurons. So, the role of neuron is to transmit the message from the brain to muscles. So we have two major types of neurons. One is motor neuron and another one is sensory neuron. Motor neurons carry signals to the muscles and the sensory neurons brings information from the body to the brain, from the external factor to the internal factor. So the quality of movement depends upon the quality of the communications in the neuron. So now motor neuron. We'll see what is motor neuron. Motor neuron is the final link between the nervous system and the muscles. So this motor neuron located in the spinal cord and the brain stem, where the spinal cord connects to the brain. In between the place is called brain stem. This motor neuron is located, and their actions reaches muscles and causes them to create a contractions. If motor neurons are getting damaged, full entire body muscles gets weak, and it may cause also paralysis. Next comes neuromuscular junction. Neuromuscular junction is a place where every motor neuron gets meet to the fiber muscles, where every motor neurons assembles for a giving back its signals to a muscle fiber. So this process and place is called neuromuscular junction. So this transmitter is called acetylcholine ACH, where it receives the muscle signals and where the muscles get contrasted. So next comes the motor cortex. Motor cortex is a primary part of the brain where it is located in the frontal lobe of the brain, and it sends commands to the muscles through the motor neurons, which is highly responsible for writing, drawing, and skillful activities. Next types of motor neurons. We have two types of motor neurons. One is upper motor neuron and lower motor neuron. Upper motor neuron located in the brain, and it plans and sends the movement. So this upper motor neuron plans and sends movement as an instructions. This lower motor neuron located in the spinal cord directly connects to the muscles and causes the actual muscle contraction. So upper motor neuron located in the brain, lower motor located in the spinal cord. So base lower motor will be initiating the actions and getting the construction of muscles. So next comes reflex arc. Reflex arc is an process where where neurons is more active than usual pathways. So reflex arc is a neural pathway where the reflex action is performed. Reflex action is nothing but where the actions and movement is happening without any control or without any decision, without any conscious. It is an involuntary action. This is reflex movement. So this pathway where happening is reflex arc. This reflex arc doesn't give any time or space for the brain consideration. Without any brain consideration, it initiative acts like blinking our eyes, sneezing, breathing, etc. And we have two type of reflex arc. One is simple and another one is complex. Simple reflexes involves only one sensory and one motor neuron. And whereas complex reflex, we have interneurons, too many neurons connected in the spinal cord and behaving and processing and reflex is complex reflex. Okay, next comes components of a reflex. arc. We have five components or five steps in reflex arc. First, receptors, where the human body receives the signals or stimulations from the external factors. Example, where our skin gets detected. Next is sensory neurons. Sensory neuron carries messages from receptors to the spinal cord. An integration center is nothing but spinal cord. In the spinal cord only all the processes taking place, like processing information, interpreting, and deciding whether to proceed or not to proceed the signal. Everything happens in this integration center. Uh, that is spinal cord. So next comes to the motor neuron. After regulating the signals, the neurons getting its work, like carrying commands to the spinal cord and the muscles. Next, final step is effector, that is muscles or glands, where our muscles and glands receive signals from the brain for performing an action. So now action potential. Action potential is in process which happens inside the neuron nerve cell. Within the nerve cell, this action potential happens, that is communication of electrical signals. So this communication depends upon the quality of neurons, where muscles, things, neurons, everything happens in this uh, plus and minus aspect, where plus and minus symbols and chemicals gets reacted according to the external signals and converted into a neural communication. This process is called action potential. So where neural next comes to neural fail. When neural fail gets affected, or when nervous system gets affected, when a single nerve or nerve cells or neuron gets affected, our movements become shaky, slow, uncontrolled, weak, rigid. So obviously when a nervous system or neurons get affected, our nervous system or movements get affected. So next, it leads to a nervous disorder, nerve related disorders like Parkinson's, motor neuron disease, neuropathy, spinal injury shows essential neural control. So next comes disorders affecting neural aspect. So which are all the disorders which affects the neural aspect? First is motor neuron disease and spinal cord neuromuscular junction disorders and peripheral nervous system. These conditions shows how essential nerves are. So in these conditions shows how nervous system gets affected and how it turns into a disorder. So here is an example case study, like how neural aspect of movement is getting affected, how it turns to a disorder. And in this session, we saw how nerves send messages to the muscles so the body can move, how motor neurons works, and what is neuromuscular junctions, and what is reflex arc and potential actions. Thank you.